connecting with you from the very first second. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract wealth, success, and opportunities as if the universe were conspiring in their favor, while others, even with hard work, remain in the same place? It's paradoxical, I know, but here's the truth no one tells you. It's not luck, it's not innate talent. It's something you can learn and apply right now. Imagine waking up a month from now and realizing that your mind already thinks differently, that your decisions are clearer, and that the right steps seem to fall into place on their own. Most people believe they need to see results before they act. But what if I told you that action precedes certainty, and that you can start transforming your reality even before you have all the clear signs? Sounds counterintuitive, right? But it works. People who understand this create quiet wealth, build lasting power, and unlock opportunities that others only dream of. And here's the point that few realize: what you do today, while the world remains distracted, defines your tomorrow. During this video, you'll delve into powerful, easy-to-apply principles that have already transformed the lives of thousands of people. These aren't magic tricks, no empty promises. It's practical strategy, mental discipline, and consistent action. And I'll show you exactly how to integrate this into your daily life. Now take a deep breath, open your mind, and get ready. The path to creating wealth, success, and power begins quietly, but will impact every area of your life in surprising ways. The burning desire that awakens the mind before the world. Have you ever noticed that some people wake up with fire in their eyes, and others wake up in "let life take me where it will" mode? Well, the difference is almost never talent, it's direction. And direction is born from a burning desire. It's the kind of desire that doesn't fit into a simple, "oh, that would be nice." It's a wish that becomes a decision. Like, I'm done with life on autopilot. When you decide what you truly want, your mind stops chasing distractions and starts chasing the path. And honestly, that's already half the battle. Now look at a detail that few people grasp. A desire without form becomes anxiety. A desire with form becomes a plan. So instead of repeatedly saying, "I want to prosper," transform it into something measurable. How much? Until when? For what? And what changes in your life when that happens? Practical example: I want to increase my income by X raise by such and such month, offering such and such service, chart product, and I will use that money to pay off debt, help at home, gain freedom. The mind loves clarity. Without clarity, it invents fear. With clarity, it invents strategy. No kidding. And there's a simple and somewhat funny way to test if the desire is real. If you can't explain it in 20 seconds, it's because it's still unclear. Take a notebook and write 3 sentences. 1. I want. 2. Why? 3. I'll start by. And here comes a small but concrete action. 30 minutes a day studying a skill that increases your value. Readings that truly help. Think and grow rich. Napoleon Hill. For mindset and direction. The Richest Man in Babylon. For simple money principles. Atomic Habits. To transform intention into routine. And get this. When you name your desire, the next question appears on its own. Okay, but what's the written plan that makes this go from your head to reality? The written plan that transforms intention into direction. Now let me tell you something that almost no one actually does. The written plan. It's not a mental list. It's not, "I'll look at it later." It's not a lost note on your phone. It's paper and pen, old school style. When you write, your mind stops fantasizing and starts obeying. It seems too simple, and that's precisely why it works. Writing it down forces clarity, and clarity kills procrastination. Without a plan, desire becomes noise. With a plan, it becomes a rote. It works like this. You take that already defined desire and ask, what's the next obvious step? Not the perfect one, the obvious one. Practical example. If the goal is to increase income, the obvious step could be learning a marketable skill: copywriting, design, traffic, sales, reviewing the prices of what you already do, or creating a simple offer. Write it in blocks: meta, term, weekly actions, daily actions. Nothing groundbreaking. The mind doesn't need genius. It needs consistency, day by day, brick by brick. And here's a little-known trick. Revise this plan before going to sleep and right after waking up. 2 minutes is enough. This programs the focus for the next day. I've seen ordinary people completely change their financial course just by doing this consistently for 60 days. Books that help in this phase: The Power of Habit, To Structure Routine, and The One Thing, To Cut Out Distractions. Now pay attention. When the plan is on paper, a silent resistance arises. That voice saying, "What if I fail?" And that's exactly where the next law comes into play. A firm decision that eliminates doubt before it grows. There is an invisible moment when everything changes, and almost no one notices when it passes. It is the instant off-firm decision. It's not about motivation. It's not about the excitement of a pretty video. It's that internal choice that says, "I'm in." There's no plan B. Doubt certainly arises, but it loses its power when a decision is made. Ordinary people think confidence comes first. In practice, confidence comes later, after that you decide and act, even when you're afraid. Think about how many times you've postponed something waiting to feel ready. Spoiler alert, that feeling never comes. What comes is the habit of procrastination. A firm decision breaks this cycle. Practical example. Instead of, "I'll start studying when I have time," the decision becomes, "Monday to Friday, from 8 p.m. to 8:40 p.m., I study, tired or not." It's not drama, it's direction. The mind respects those who give clear commands. Hesitation generates noise. Decision generates inner silence. And here's a powerful turning point. Stop negotiating with your own mind. Every time you negotiate, "Not today, I'll do it tomorrow," you're training yourself to give up. When you decide, you're training your identity. Books that help strengthen this muscle. Essentialism: To Learn to Say No to the Irrelevant, and Mindset, to understand that skill is built. Now, notice, when the decision is made, a new challenge arises. Remaining firm when no one is watching. That's where the next piece of the puzzle comes in. The silent discipline that works while the world sleeps. Here's a somewhat uncomfortable but liberating truth. What changes your life is almost never noisy. It's silent. It's repetition. It's discipline when no one applauds. Silent discipline is that internal agreement you keep even without motivation, even when it seems like nothing is happening. While many people seek quick results, you begin to build something that doesn't crumble. And yeah, at first it seems invisible. But invisible doesn't mean non-existent. It works like this. You transform decisions into small rituals. Nothing heroic. Read 10 pages a day. Study for 30 minutes. Review the plan every night. Save a portion of what you earn, even if it's a small amount. Is it boring? Sometimes. Does it work? Always. A simple example. People who get rich rarely make spectacular moves. They make moves. Consistent every day. No drama. Discipline creates an advantage that talent without routine cannot achieve. And pay attention to this detail. Discipline isn't rigidity. It's commitment to what matters. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be predictable. If you want to strengthen this, reading helps a lot. Financial psychology to understand behavior, and deep work to learn real focus. Now, when discipline starts to become part of who you are, something curious happens. The environment starts to react differently to you. People, opportunities, conversations. And that's exactly where the next topic comes in. The environment and the people that shape, or sabotage, your mind. There's something that acts silently but weighs a ton. The environment. It's not just where you live or work. It's what you listen to, who you talk to, what you pay attention to. The human mind is imitative by nature. Without realizing it, you start thinking like those around you. If the environment normalizes complaining, scarcity, and fear, your mind goes into that mode. If it's normalized, it feels safe. And that's precisely the problem. A practical adjustment that changes everything. Make a mental hygiene daily. Reduce time spent on content that drains you and increase contact with ideas that lift you up. Simple example. Replace 20 minutes of random feed content with a podcast or audiobook that talks about strategy, money, or behavior. Titles worth your time. Napoleon Hill, Jim Rohn, Peter Drucker for Vision, Ray Dalio, It's About Principles. It's not about idolizing people, it's about borrowing mental patterns while you build your own. And there's no escaping it. Some conversations need to be shortened. Some bonds repositioned. It's not arrogance, it's self-preservation. You don't over-explain, you don't announce plans, you don't ask for permission. You just move. When the environment changes, the mind gains space to grow. And with that comes something even more delicate. The way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake or fail. That's where the next law comes in, silent yet decisive. The internal dialogue that builds identity or destroys progress. There's a conversation going on in there right now, and it never stops. The question isn't, with you talk to yourself, but as most people sabotage themselves silently. They make mistakes and call themselves weak. They try and call themselves incapable. They fail and conclude that, this isn't for me. The brain believes the tone, not the logic. If the internal discourse is one of doubt, the action comes out weak. If the tone changes, behavior follows. A practical adjustment that seems simple but is powerful. Replace judgment with command. Instead of "I'm bad with money," say "I'm learning to manage money better." Instead of "I always give up," say "I'm building consistency." It's not self-deception, it's conscious reprogramming. The mind needs direction, not aggression. Here are some helpful readings. You Can Heal Your Life, Louise Hay, for Internal Language, and The Power of the Subconscious Mind, to understand mental repetition. And here's the not-so-obvious point. It's not about repeating affirmations all day long. It's about aligning words with micro-actions. You say, "I am disciplined," and you fulfill a small commitment today. Identity is born from consistency. When this starts to happen, something changes deep down in your perception. You begin to trust yourself more. And this confidence opens up space for something bigger, learning to use time as an ally, not as an enemy. Time as an ally. Strategic patience instead of emotional haste. Let me tell you something that almost no one accepts at first. Time is not against you. What hinders progress is emotional haste, that anxiety disguised as urgency. Haste makes you skip steps, compare what's happening behind the scenes to what's happening on someone else's stage, and give up too soon. Time, when used wisely, becomes a powerful ally. Think about it. Everything that truly grows, muscle, assets, reputation, takes time. And that's not delay. It's a process. In practice, using time to your advantage means stopping demanding immediate results and starting to demand consistency. A simple example. Instead of asking, "Why hasn't it worked yet?" the question becomes, "What am I doing every day that guarantees it will work?" 10 well-directed minutes a day can overcome chaotic hours. A good strategy is to work in 90-day cycles, with clear goals and weekly reviews. Books that help with this perspective. The Compound Effect and Principles. Ray Dalio. And here's the crucial detail. Patience is not passivity. It's continuous action without despair. You act, adjust, learn, and move on. When you understand this, time ceases to be an enemy and becomes an accomplice. But then a new test arises, perhaps the most subtle of all. How do you react when the first results appear and the ego tries to take control? That's exactly where the next point starts to weigh heavily. Strategic humility. Growing without letting ego take the wheel. This is a delicate point because almost no one talks about it when things start to improve. The first results appear, confidence rises. And, if you're not careful, the ego. He enters the scene thinking he already gets the game. That's where the danger lies. The ego likes shortcuts, quick validation, proving something to others. A thriving mind, on the other hand, prefers to learn, adjust, and continue, growing quietly. One wrong move here, and all progress slows down. In practice, strategic humility means continuing to ask questions even when you already have answers. It means listening to feedback without taking it personally, reviewing processes that seem good, and maintaining the habit of learning. A simple example: many people improve financially and stop learning about money. The result? Regression. Readings that help keep your feet on the ground and your vision open, anti-fragile. Nassim Taleb. To learn to grow with chaos and The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. To align character with results. And there's a subtle detail here. Humility isn't about diminishing yourself. It's about remaining trainable. When you continue learning even at your peak, you protect yourself from unnecessary setbacks. It's like adjusting your course before the curve, not after the accident. And when this attitude becomes a habit, something powerful emerges. The ability to transform mistakes into a competitive advantage. That's exactly what the next point addresses. Error as raw material, transforming failures into a silent advantage. Here's a key turning point that separates those who grow from those who stagnate. Error is not a sign of incompetence. It is a given. Most people make mistakes and go into emotional mode. Guilt, shame, comparison. Those who thrive make mistakes and go into analytical mode. What went wrong? Where was the decision? Where was the process? Where was the timing? When you treat mistakes as information, they lose the power to paralyze you and begin to work in your favor. In practice, this means creating a simple post-mistake ritual. No drama. Write down 3 things. What happened? What was under his control? What would I do differently next time? That alone puts you years ahead of those who pretend nothing happened or punish themselves in silence. Real-life example. An investment that didn't work out. A project that failed. A hasty decision. Instead of giving up, you extract a pattern. Pattern beats emotion. Always. And here's a less obvious detail. Those who learn from their mistakes develop calm confidence. It's not arrogance, it's preparedness. You know that even if you make a mistake, you know how to correct it. Books that are very helpful in this regard. Mindset, to see failure as a learning experience, and The Logic of the Black Swan, to understand risk and unpredictability. When this attitude takes hold, something changes fundamentally. You stop fearing the future. And when fear diminishes, there's room to take on greater responsibilities. That's when the next step begins to take shape. Total responsibility. The exact point where power begins. There's a quiet moment when you stop blaming the world, and that moment changes everything. Total responsibility isn't a burden, it's freedom. As long as you believe outcomes depend on luck, politics, crisis, or people, your mind remains in standby mode. When you Accept that everything that can be done starts with you. Something clicks. It's not harsh. It's empowering. You step out of the role of spectator and become the author of your own story. In practice, total responsibility manifests itself in different questions. Instead of, "Why did this happen to me?" you start asking, "What is this teaching me?" or "What is under my control now?" A simple example: if money is tight, you don't go into denial or victimhood. You analyze expenses, create extra income, learn something new, adjust your approach. No drama. Responsibility isn't about blaming yourself. It's to act without outsourcing. And here's the crucial detail. When you take responsibility, your mind expands. You begin to see options where before you only saw limitations. Books that help solidify this: Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink, To Take Full Control, and Principles, To Make Better Decisions. When this attitude becomes the norm, something curious happens. You start attracting bigger challenges because you now have the internal structure to handle them. And that's exactly where we reach the next level. Long-term vision. Playing the game that few have the patience to play. This is where many people give up without realizing it. Long-term vision requires emotional maturity because it doesn't deliver immediate applause. It delivers cumulative result. While most people want to win quickly, you start playing a different game. The game of building something that lasts. And, let's be honest, that requires saying no to small gains that distract you from the bigger picture. Not all money is progress. In practice, a long-term vision means aligning daily decisions with who you want to be in 5 or 10 years. A simple example: choosing to learn a deep skill instead of jumping from opportunity to opportunity. Building a reputation before building status. Saving, investing, and reinvesting before showing off. Books that help maintain this perspective: The Infinite Game, Simon the Fly. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, To Understand Assets versus Distractions. And here's the key point. Those who think long-term develop strategic calm. You don't react to every piece of news. You don't panic with every fluctuation. You don't change course with every difficulty. You adjust, learn, and move on. When this mindset solidifies, something powerful happens. You begin to perceive patterns invisible to those who live in the short term. And it is precisely about these patterns that the next topic will touch. Focused attention, the invisible asset that decides who thrives. If there's one thing that's truly scarce today, it's not money. It's attention. Whoever controls their own attention controls their own destiny. Most people live reacting: notifications, news, other people's opinions, false urgency. The result? Scattered energy, weak decisions, slow progress. When you learn to protect your focus, everything accelerates. And yeah, it's not about doing more. It's about do better, what really matters. In practice, focused attention means creating clear boundaries. It involves setting uninterrupted schedules, silencing unhelpful devices, and prioritizing one task at a time. A simple example that works: 60-90-minute blocks of deep work, without a cell phone nearby, followed by a short break. It seems basic, but it's rare. Books that help train this: Deep Work, Cal Newport, The Organized Mind, To Structure Information and Reduce Noise. And here's a less obvious detail. Focus isn't about infinite willpower. It's about designing the environment. You make the right things easier and the wrong things more difficult. When attention starts to stabilize, the mind gains clarity. And clarity brings something even more valuable: the ability to better choose where to invest energy, money, and time. It's at this point that the next piece of the puzzle begins to appear. Conscious choices. Where you put your energy defines who you become. There comes a point where it's no longer about working hard, but about choose well. Energy is limited. Time is limited too. Money is too. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, even without realizing it. Most people get tired not from overexertion, but from too many bad choices. When everything feels important, nothing really is. Prosperity begins when you learn to choose with intention, not on impulse. In practice, conscious choices mean asking yourself before acting. Does this bring me closer to or further away from the life I want? This applies to invitations, expenses, projects, and conversations. A simple example: accepting a job that pays now but steals all your time can delay your bigger plan. Sometimes, the smartest choice isn't the most comfortable. Books that are very helpful in this filtering process include Essentialism, Greg McKeown, Decide, Chip and Dan Heath. And here's the fine detail. Conscious choices require inner silence. When you slow down, you listen better to your strategic intuition, the one that doesn't shout, but gets it right. When this habit strengthens, something changes in your way of living. You begin to act with less regret and more direction. And this opens the way to the next level: aligning purpose with daily action. Applied purpose, when meaning and action go hand in hand. Purpose isn't a pretty phrase in a bio or a Sunday motivational speech. Real purpose shows in practice when what you do every day aligns with what you believe. Many people feel empty not because of a lack of ability, but because of a disconnect. They work hard, earn some money, but feel like they're spinning their wheels. When meaning shows up, energy follows, and the right energy changes the game. In practice, applied purpose means aligning tasks with impact. A simple question that clarifies everything. Who benefits from what I do well? Sometimes it's your family, sometimes clients, sometimes a specific community. For example, if you are good at organizing, you can turn that into a service. If you communicate well, you can teach. If you solve problems, you can lead projects. Readings that help translate purpose into action. Start with why. Simon the Fly. Work 4 hours a week. To rethink the work model. And here's the subtle point. When purpose meets consistent action, motivation ceases to be fragile. You don't depend on mood. You have direction. This creates a stable inner strength, capable of navigating difficult phases without losing your way. And it is precisely in this stability that the next challenge arises: learning to sustain growth without losing your way. Sustaining growth, remaining whole while everything expands. Growing up is one thing, sustaining growth. It's a completely different story. When results increase, responsibilities double, and external expectations arise, many people get lost trying to please everyone. Then progress becomes pressure. The secret here is to keep your center firm while everything around you accelerates. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your structure. And internal structure comes before external expansion. In practice, sustaining growth means creating protective routines. Real rest, weekly review, clear boundaries. A simple example: blocking out a fixed time each week just to think, adjust strategy, and take care of your mind. Another essential point is not abandoning basic habits when your schedule fills up. Reading, exercise, silence. Books that help maintain balance during expansion phases. The Courage to be Imperfect. Brené Brown, Principles. Ray Dalio. To create solid personal systems. And here's a detail that few anticipate. Growth reveals hidden weaknesses. Haste, excessive control, difficulty delegating. When you learn to observe this without judging yourself, growth ceases to be a threat and becomes maturity. And it is precisely at this point that the next stage emerges: learning to trust the process even when you've already come too far to turn back. Trusting the process, moving forward without seeing the whole path ahead. Here's something many people don't understand. You don't need to see the end result to act. Trusting the process means surrendering. Partial control face reality, knowing that every conscious step generates results. The mind wants certainty. Life delivers uncertainty. Those who prosper learn to act even with risk, even without a complete map. That's where faith meets strategy. And that's what separates those who try from those who truly succeed. In practice, trusting the process means planning, acting, and revising, but without micromanaging every detail. A practical example. You launch a project, make weekly adjustments, but don't panic about initial failures. The focus is on continuous learning. Helpful books. The Compound Effect to see accumulated results and The Infinite Game. To internalize that success is a long, continuous, and adaptable process. And here's the crucial detail. Trusting the process isn't passivity. It's discipline applied with patience. Each correct action builds an invisible result, while the outside world seems indifferent. And it's precisely this strategic patience that paves the way to the next level, transforming consistency into a silent competitive advantage. Silent consistency. What no one sees, but everything changes. The great trick that separates winners from those who only dream is simple and cruel. Silent consistency. You may go unnoticed, without recognition, but each repeated action, each step taken without external applause, adds up to a compound effect. Most people want quick results and ignore that small daily victories build invisible empires. The world sees only the peak, never the base. In practice, silent consistency means keeping commitments even when no one is watching. Real-life examples. Studying for 30 minutes a day, writing a page of the plan, sending proposals, exercising body and mind, even when tired or unmotivated. Books that reinforce this idea. Atomic Habits to establish a powerful minimal routine. The Power of Habit, to understand the triggers and rewards that keep the repetition alive. And here's the detail that few understand. Consistency generates inner confidence before it generates external recognition. You learn that you depend on yourself, not on luck or the validation of others. And when this silent force takes hold, it prepares the ground for something even more impactful, transforming each daily habit into a multiplier of wealth, success, and power. That's what the next topic will touch on. Habit multiplier. Each action creates a ripple effect. When you understand that every habit is a seed, you begin to see the world differently. Small, repeated acts don't remain isolated. They create a ripple effect, multiplying invisible results. Reading 10 pages a day isn't just reading. It's accumulated discipline, knowledge, reflection, and inspiration. Each habit generates another, and suddenly you realize you're ahead of those who seem to be lucky. In practice, habit multiplier means consciously choosing small actions with a large long-term effect. Examples: waking up early, planning your day, writing down goals, researching the market, investing in learning. Books that help reinforce this: Atomic Habits for Micro Habits and The Compound Effect. To understand the sum of small actions, you begin to notice how minimal discipline transforms into maximum results. And here's the powerful detail. Each well-chosen habit strengthens identity and reduces impulsive decisions. When you internalize this, your life becomes self-propelling. The routine works for you, not against you. And it is precisely at this point that the next topic comes in: using strategic vision to align each habit with the final objective. Strategic vision. Aligning each step with the final objective. Having a strategic vision is more than just planning. It's conscious alignment between action and desired result. Many act, but most act in the dark, wasting energy without direction. When each step is thought out to support the greater goal, you reduce waste, increase speed, and maximize impact. It's like building a bridge. Each stone needs to be in the right place, or everything collapses. In practice, strategic vision means reviewing plans regularly, prioritizing tasks that generate a multiplier effect, and adjusting course according to results. For example, when learning a skill, don't study randomly. Focus on what delivers financial results or increases authority. Helpful books, Principles, Ray Dalio, for structured decision-making, and The One Thing to maintain absolute focus on what's essential. And here's the not-so-obvious detail. Strategic vision transforms small victories into giant leaps. When you understand the effect of each step, you begin to act almost automatically, but consciously. And this intelligent automation prepares the ground for the next stage, transforming growth into a real legacy, something that continues even when you're not looking. Transforming growth into legacy, the impact that lasts. We've reached a crucial point. Growth is not enough if it doesn't leave a mark. True power lies in creating something that endures beyond yourself, that positively influences people and environments. Many focus on immediate results, money, recognition, status, and forget that legacy is about multiplying value. Think long-term. What you build today can inspire, guide, and benefit others tomorrow. In practice, transforming growth into legacy means systematizing learning, creating processes, teaching, or sharing knowledge. A real-world example: those who build businesses, in addition to profiting, leave behind a culture and a trained team. Those who master habits inspire family and friends. Readings that reinforce this vision. The Compound Effect for Cumulative Result and Rich Dad, Poor Dad to Create Wealth That Transcends You. And here's the detail that makes all the difference. Thinking about legacy changes how you approach challenges. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every difficulty becomes a learning story. Every silent victory becomes an example. And it is precisely this long-term, impact-oriented mindset that concludes our journey, but leaves room for reflection. Are you ready to apply each of these principles in your daily life? If you want, I can now move on to create an engaging introduction based on the title. Following Direction 6. Do you want me to do that? Turn knowledge into action. So after delving into these principles, the question remains: will you let these ideas stay only in your mind, or will you transform each step into concrete action? Think about it. Every habit, every decision, and every challenge you face today can become a springboard to wealth, success, and power tomorrow. Are you ready to truly act, or will you continue waiting for the perfect moment that never comes? Reflect on your recent choices. Have you been prioritizing what truly matters? Have you been controlling your attention and energy, or have you allowed distractions and doubts to dictate the pace of your life? Every conscious action you take is an invisible investment in your future. So are you going to let it pass by, or are you going to start building the life you deserve right now? Remember, no one will hand you success, but you can achieve every quiet victory, every daily habit, and every strategic decision. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and come learn with me how to apply these laws practically, step by step. Comment below: what will be the first step you take today to create wealth, success, and power in your life?